Ferndale in Welsh, Glynrhyddinog, in the famous Rhondda valleys of Wales, has a population of about 5,000 and lies 280 metres above sea level on a ledge above the valley floor, overshadowed by steep cliffs.
Here coal was once king, but the mines have now closed and nature has reclaimed this wild and beautiful area. In a wood at the top of the town are the icy waters of Llyn of Orwyn, the Maiden's Pool, famed in Welsh myth as home of a strange enchantress. Fed by underground streams, the lake lies in a fissure in the mountain and is of immense depth. Whilst above the trees and cliffs lie ridges of the plateau where cloud shadows swing over miles of springy grass and heather, and solitude is total.
On these hills are many historic sites, from Iron Age remains to a Roman encampment, whilst at nearby Llanmano, a 6th century stone cross is embedded in the church wall. But it was the great coal boom of the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century which spawned Ferndale and its suburb of Blaenllaechau across the valley.
In the 1830s and 40s, there were less than 50 people living in this part of the valley. The age of coal began in 1851 when David Davies of Blaengwawr bought the mineral rights to a parcel of land owned by the Thomas family at Blaenllaechau Farm. It was here he sank the first deep pit in the area, and the valley was soon transformed as people came from all over rural Wales, the West Country, and indeed from further afield to work in the deep levels. Inevitably, accidents occurred, and in 1867, 178 men and boys were lost to an explosion underground. Despite the subsequent inquiry and additional precautions taken, a further 53 were lost in a similar accident only 2 years later. The population concentration allowed the people of the valleys to channel their musical energies into choral singing, an art at which the Welsh nation, with old traditions of singing in harmony, excels.
In the development of choral singing, the various non-conformist sects played a pivotal role. Methodists, Baptists, Congregationalists, Independents and Calvinistics all had their own chapels and their own choirs, and vied with each other to produce the best performances of sacred music. The churches also looked to organise huge hymn singing festivals, or Cymanfahad Gani, where most of the congregation are seated according to voice and sing the great Welsh hymns, words penned by some of Wales's finest romantic poets, full of fervour and vivid alliterative power, all underscored by a minor key harmony of a people for whom singing was, and is, a talisman of nationhood.
South Wales is also the home of some of the UK's finest brass and silver bands, and this was evident as far back as 1890, when the Ferndale Prize Band crowned 30 years of success, winning a plethora of national championships. At the same time, Ferndale Male Voice Choir was winning Eisteddfodau and choral competitions, whilst Ferndale had its own annual Eisteddfod, which attracted 10,000 visitors to the town. Tom Humphreys was one of the early musical pioneers who led the Blaenllaechau Male Voice Choir and the Ferndale Labour Club Choir to Eisteddfod wins. Throughout the early years of the century, members of jazz bands regularly marched on special occasions and competed for prizes. During the general strike in 1926, the musical community rallied around to support the miners by the creation of touring glee parties, who performed in London and the north of England, collecting money for the relief fund. This was a time of great hardship, and the community bonded together in the face of adversity. The strike committee organised a huge rally and marched through Ferndale, passing the English Congregational Church, later to become the Morris Hall, and ended at Darren Park, where thousands turned out. The strike lasted from April until the miners had to return to work in desperation in December.